What's up, guys? I am back. I finished 2 sheaths, and let's just say it took several hours of me working on Kydex, and I started like when I got off of work and after I ate dinner, and basically I didn't stop until 10:30 in the evening. And it's currently just after midnight now, and I gotta get ready to go to bed to get up for work for tomorrow. But you know, since I am giving them the knives and the sheaths tomorrow, I have to do this video right now. Here they are. I'm not 100% happy with them. As you can basically see here, all of that definition that I had right after molding the sheaths, that's basically gone. And that's mainly because, like I said, because of this thumb stud, it would kind of catch along here, and then if they were to change the position up and down on the thumb stud, the sheath would have to be remolded for that. So I basically just put a piece of wood over here, heated up this entire section so that it basically just opened back up again. And then I went back and pressed in with my thumb. My thumb is a little sensitive from pressing down on the hot Kydex for so many times. Pressed it down so that I would have a retention point off of this part of the handle right there. And as you see here, retention's not bad. This one, because of how I had to open up this section of the sheath, I'm not really sure if you can make out that. Yeah, there we go. Because I had to open that up, now there is a little bit of rattle in it. It's not a big deal. I mean, honestly, what I could have probably done was just heat up this section here and then get a piece of wood, something with a right angle, and just press that back in. The rattle is not a big deal. Honestly, like, I don't think they'll really care that much. The only way I can really think about getting the rattle is if I were to make a pancake style sheath and just really make it really wide and have the rivets further away from the knife itself. And that would allow expansion of the two halves of the Kydex to open and close up to keep the knife securely in, but at the same time preventing any rattle. In this case, retention on this one I really like. I think they'll like this. You can hang this upside down and shake it. It's not coming out, but it's still relatively easy to get in and out of the sheath. It still snaps into place pretty good. I did kind of screw up the belt clip on this. You can see there's a huge gap there. So I'll have to take the Chicago screws off, take the belt loop off tomorrow morning, I guess, before I go to work, and retighten that up. And I basically did the same width as the other thicker Kydex belt clips that I did in my Kydex clips video, but instead of going for the full 9 holes, I just did 4. Just because they won't have the ability to add on any more rivets. So this small Tech-Lock configuration is basically what they'll be using, and I did 4 corners so they can switch from left to right side, and also horizontal or vertical carry. It does carry a little bit far from the belt line. I found that for a sheath this wide, it's most ideal at carried at around the 5 o'clock position. Because anyway, if you were to keep it on like 3 o'clock or something, it would stick out quite a bit, and that's mainly because of how wide this the clip is. And I did this width on purpose just because I do have a gun belt that I sometimes wear, so for that, those belts tend to be on the thicker side, and you need a thicker clip. And unfortunately, that was the only template I had to mold the Kydex around. I haven't really found anything thinner that I could use as an equivalent. The other sheath, I made this I made this clip towards the end of that like 4 or 5 hour run, and I was just getting really tired. And you can see here, like, I kind of screwed up the centering on the template with the Kydex. It still works. It just looks weird, but the Kydex is thick enough that even though there's only a small amount of material here on the side, it should be fine. It shouldn't have any breakage issues, at least. And I also actually used the wrong template. You can actually see it's like there's a slight angle on this top plate because I didn't use the right thickness of Kydex to keep the top plate flat with the hook. So like I said, this is just like the last thing I did, and I was just so tired. I couldn't really concentrate that well. But on this one, I might have to adjust the retention at work for my coworker. You know, we have heat guns at work, so I can do that with no issues. It is really tight. There we go. You hear like it snaps in with authority, and it takes, you know, quite a bit of effort to actually pull out. It still doesn't catch on the thumb stud because I did the same thing where I just heated up this section, let it expand back out, and then pinched where I wanted the friction point. But I think it's just overall this width is just much less than the other one, and that's why it's a little tighter. Honestly, if you were to wear it on a tight, thick belt, like a gun belt, or, you know, even like a good solid leather belt, you wouldn't really have any issues with pulling this out of the sheath and putting it back in. But if you were to wear one of those, you know, chintzier cloth belts, you might have an issue with this really flexing the belt a lot. So, you know, I'll see what he thinks about it tomorrow, and if he feels that it's a little too tight, then I can always loosen up the retention. You know, it's as easy as basically heating up this point, and then not pinching it in as much. I also went ahead and changed up my sheath for my dozier. Here we go. I basically cut it down. You know, there was maybe close to 1 inch of Kydex that was sticking out, and what would happen is I wouldn't be able to get a full hand grip on the knife itself, around the knife's handle. Oh, there we go. So, you know, before I could just get like a 3-finger grip down here, and I would have to pull the knife out like that. Now I can get a full grip on here and pull the knife out. What I found was that because this is a loose mold, and right now there isn't much plastic actually covering the handle and holding the knife in place, it actually rattled quite a bit. So what I ended up having to do, and the retention wasn't quite as good, so what I ended up having to do is just reheat the section and then pinch it down even more. And because now there's no extra material here on this top part of the handle, it's, you know, I can get it in with no problems, even though it's pinched pretty close to where the blade is. So right now this is pretty good. I'm still not sure what I really want to do with this section yet, so I'm going to leave it like this for now, but at least I'm happy I can get a full hand grip on it. And then I also made a smaller sheath for my woods walker, and I'm having the same retention issues. I added this rivet down here. I still have to add 2 rivets on top for a neck lanyard, but I added a rivet down here because I was a little concerned about the blade actually like pivoting outwards, and so if you take a look where I have it, that rivet will basically block this tip from popping out, so to speak. Retention's not that great. I'm still kind of tweaking it out. You know, it snaps in with like somewhat of an authoritative snap, but it's not super tight. So, you know, snapping it in is pretty nice, and then you can't pivot it out because, you know, it's molded down to here, and then there's the rivet there, but it's really loose to pull out. And, you know, you can kind of see what happened was when I went to heat up this section of the sheath, a lot of the material overall just heated up kind of, and then this side opened up when, you know, after I first molded it, it was super tight. Now it kind of opened up a little bit, and what happened is now I don't have room to really put another rivet down here, and that's the whole point. I didn't really want any rivets along the side, so I will have to tweak around with the retention. I think maybe the next one I will make this section that goes up the handle a little longer, maybe even closer to this first rivet here, and with more Kydex pinching along the handle, it'll retain it much better. And at the same time, because it's an open side, I don't have to worry about not being able to fit the handle instead of the opening, because the 2 halves of the Kydex will split apart. Versus when I made the first one and I riveted the sides, they wouldn't really split apart as well, and it was very difficult for me to make a tight mold around the handle and still get the knife in. But this, you know, I could carry it around my neck. It's not a big deal. More than likely though, I will probably carry this in my bag instead, just because if it's in my bag, I highly doubt it'll fall out or anything, and it's just, you know, it's a nice little sheath to protect my myself and the blade from damage. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this, you know, quick series of videos on, you know, my second attempt at making a Kydex sheath for folders. And thanks for watching.